guys to Low Speaking Goes TV, and today I'm going to be talking about the new manager at Real Madrid, which is Zinedine Zidane. He's back, guys. The savior is back. So in my last video, I know I said I didn't really want Zidane back, and I'm still not 150% sold, but I was super high, and this is just because I really wanted Pochettino. I've wanted Pochettino for some years now. I think he's going to be the right guy eventually, and I thought, maybe that could be now, but maybe it's not, Maybe Zidane's the one to get us into this next era, and then maybe Poch takes over afterwards, because I'm not sure, but I know Pochettino's contract definitely ends in the 2020s. I think it's 2021, or maybe it's 2022, and then after Zidane's done in 2022, we go to Pochettino. It saves us from a few headaches. One, dealing with Daniel Levy, who's known to be an asshole. He's hard to negotiate with. Look at the Gareth Bale one, look at the Luka Modric one, and look at any other thing. He wouldn't let Pochettino leave for anything until he was into the new stadium. Plus, Pochettino signed a new contract last season, and usually it's like 3 or 4 year contracts. If it's a 4 year contract, then it's definitely 2022. And if it's a 3 year contract, obviously it's 2021, but we will see. But I must say, after the press conference, my whole mind just did a switch. I'm like, man, I'm so happy to have this guy back. I love Zizou. Maybe part of me didn't want him back because I didn't want to ruin the 3 Champions Leagues that he had won as a coach. Maybe that's why I didn't want him back. I know I have a Man United friend, and he had been like, yo, man, Zidane might be coming to Man United. This was before Solskjaer took over. And I was like, I don't know, man. I don't know. And I know why I was saying that, and it's because I didn't want him to go to that Man United team and then be crap, and everyone's just like, oh, look at this guy. He's not as good as a coach as he actually was. And, so that's part of the reason why I was not really high on him. Is I just really don't want him to lose his legacy. I don't want that to be ruined. I don't want that to be tarnished. He knows this is a hard job to have, so, he knows what he's getting into, though. But the biggest takeaway from the presser for me was he kept mentioning change. He was like, there's going to be big changes. And, he wasn't very specific about that was, and that's probably because those changes won't actually happen until summer because he can't do anything left with 11 La Liga games left. But he had also mentioned, he didn't say this verbatim, but, he kind of hinted at that he had made mistakes and he's looking to right those wrongs and be a better manager than he was before. And, how is that possible that he's a better manager than before? Maybe he's learned something since he was gone. Maybe he's taken something from Lopetegui or Solari and been like, wow, look, these youth guys can play. These young guys can play. And because in his time, he really didn't give that many young guys a shot, at least not guys from Castilla. I mean, they played minutes, but it was just throwaway minutes. Maybe he's looking at, Ceballos, who actually had said that if Zidane would have stayed as coach, Ceballos said he would have left the club. So maybe Zidane's looking at Ceballos, Llorente, Vinicius, and Reguilon and sees that these players were good under Solari, and maybe they didn't play much in his first tenure, or they weren't even around as Reguilon and Vinicius weren't. But, maybe he's looking at that and being like, maybe I should rotate a little bit more. Maybe I should trust these guys from Castilla a little bit more. Maybe they can play. And, that's one of my biggest hopes is that he can kind of continue this youth movement and, still keep the old guys around. But, one of my biggest complaints about Zidane was he would rotate Ronaldo, but he wouldn't rotate everybody. I thought Ceballos could have played more minutes than he did. I thought Mateo Kovacic could have played more minutes than he did. Luka Modric was 32 last year. He's 33 this year. He'll be 34 by the end of this year. So, I mean, these guys are getting older. Sergio Ramos is 32. He'll be 33 March 30th. So, these guys are getting older. They need to be rested a little bit more. Maybe bringing another center back would be good to compete with Varane and Nacho and, kind of get those minutes. The second big thing from the presser that I noticed was he really kept mentioning his love for the club. I think him seeing that the club struggled without him kind of hurt him a little bit, especially I heard that he was in attendance for one of the Barcelona games. So being there, watching that, and be like, damn, these guys are 1 year removed from winning 3 Champions Leagues, and here they are getting dismantled by not only Barcelona twice in a week. Even though they outplayed them, they still lost 4-0 in aggregate over 2 legs. And then they get dismantled 4-1 by Ajax. I'm sure Zidane sees that and he's like, man, they need something. And I'm sure he's looking at the options available and he's like, they need me. And he said that all the president had to do was call him, and he said he wanted it back. He said he just refreshed his batteries and he's now ready to go. And he went to training on Tuesday where the team actually was off for. I'm assuming because it's been a long year. Might as well give the guy. I'm sure he gave the players off. So he had given the players off, but I heard Isco and Marcelo were there training, so that's good. But the most important thing, most important sentence he said in his press conference was, "I want to put Real Madrid back where it belongs. We have been knocked off our perch. We are not as good as we thought we were, but he wants to get us back there, and that's all I want. I just want somebody to take hold of this club, and maybe that's part of the reason Zidane left. Is he just didn't want to deal with this. He wanted to make changes, and Florentino didn't. And maybe that's why we're here where we are. Maybe, Zidane kind of finessed Florentino a little bit. He kind of let Lopetegui take the fall, Solari do that, and then he's kind of like, hey, look what's going on. Maybe this was his plan all along. And if they had been successful, then he goes and takes the Juventus job. But, the first question that needs to be asked is, why did he come back? My guess, which is, I believe, the real reason he came back, is he's not getting paid as much as Diego Simeone, which is $24 million. He's only at $14 million a year. So that's not that big. Actually, it's $12 million a year, and then he can get $2 million in add-ons. So that's really not that much. But he loves the club. That's a big reason why he came back. He thinks that maybe him leaving was kind of premature, unless, like I said, he kind of thought this through. He's a smart guy. He had retired early in his Real Madrid contract because he didn't think he could play anymore at 32. Which, we still see the likes of Sergio Ramos doing well. Luka Modric's playing well. He'll be 34 this year. Guys play well after that age. But, like I said, Florentino must have given him the keys to the kingdom and put him in charge of the team, and the board will not interfere with him anymore. Zidane is one of the few managers that in Florentino's reign, as in his first or second tenure, where he had given a coach the power of transfers. It was him and Mourinho. And he had it in his first tenure, but it wasn't as much as it is, as I believe it's going to be now. I believe Zidane has absolute power. Like I said, another reason I believe he came back is because he missed the job, he missed the club. He said he had multiple offers. I'm assuming one of them was Juventus, because Juventus wanted to get rid of Allegri last year. But they didn't. They kept him for one more year. I think they had kind of understood that Zidane was taking a year off because he said he was going to take the year off. And I think they were like, okay, we'll get Allegri for one more year, and then we'll, get Zidane. Because, he played at Juve. He made it 2 Champions League finals with Juve. I believe he lost them both. One to Real Madrid. I know for a fact he lost one to Real Madrid. But, Zidane's boy Ronaldo's playing there now. What a perfect fit. 2 other clubs, I believe it was 4 clubs to offer him, one of them being Real Madrid, Juventus. I believe the other 2 were PSG and Chelsea. The PSG one makes sense, the Chelsea one not so much, because Zizou has no ties to Chelsea. They're actually in a worse state as a club than Real Madrid. The PSG one actually makes a ton of sense. One, PSG is in France. Zidane is French. Very simple. You may be like, duh. Well, obviously. The second is, PSG's greatest ambition is to win the Champions League. So who better to lead the club than the guy who won the last 3 Champions Leagues? So why did Zidane leave in the first place? He said he couldn't motivate the team anymore, and that was pretty obvious by the team finishing in 3rd place behind not only Barcelona but Atletico Madrid, and they finished 17 points off the top. That is an insane amount. I believe Florentino kind of wasn't going to let him keep/sell the players he did and did not want. I believe that he wanted to sell Bale, but after Bale's performance in the Champions League final, Florentino wanted to keep Bale. Also, I don't think this is as far-fetched as some people may think, But Marcelo had said that he had known that Cristiano Ronaldo was going to leave before the UCL final. Maybe Zidane knew that too. That, like I said, this is just all hypothetical. But Ronaldo and Zidane were pretty close. You can, if you watch them as like a coach and player relationship, they seem pretty close. Probably the closest relationship I've seen Ronaldo have to a coach, other than Ancelotti. So I think Zidane had the respect of Ronaldo that I've never seen before in any managers, even in Ancelotti. And he had the utmost respect for him because he was not only one of the best players of all time, but he understood Ronaldo and Ronaldo understood him. So I think it's not so far fetched to think that maybe Zidane knew that Ronaldo was going to leave, and maybe that's part of the reason why he did leave the club. The last part that I'm really going to talk about is what do the players think? I'm sure Marcelo, Isco, and Keylor Navas are all super happy to have him back. All three were on the outside looking in with Solari, and all three probably think like, oh man, like especially Isco and Marcelo, who were two key cogs under Zidane. Zidane changed his formation to a 4-4-2 diamond with Isco at the point of that diamond to help get the best not only out of Isco but Marcelo. Marcelo kind of roamed that flank, and one of the issues that we kind of had under Zidane was that left flank got exposed because Toni Kroos isn't the best at tracking back, and Casemiro sometimes isn't either. Modric, if he had played on that left side, he helps out Danny Carvajal a lot, but it also takes away from he's going to be 34 soon. So, one interesting situation I'm going to be so interested for the Celta de Vigo game is the number one keeper situation. Who is going to play, Courtois or Keylor Navas? I have no clue. Courtois has been the number one choice since Lopetegui was fired under Solari. Keylor was an undisputed number one under Zidane, and Zidane had rejected a goalkeeper coming in Kepa, who is now at Chelsea, and they would have got him for cheaper than they paid for Courtois. I believe it was like 18 million or something, and Chelsea paid 80 million for him before he signed a new contract, which then raised his release clause, which is why it cost so much for him to go to Chelsea. Zidane blocked that move. So, it's going to be interesting. Zidane didn't want a new keeper. He was very happy with Keylor. And, with Zidane's style, the keeper plays with the ball at his feet a lot more. And Courtois isn't so good at that. Maybe Courtois needs to improve in that area. I've said that for a while. I think Bale is pretty much already out the door. He says he's going to read the situation and see how it works. That's what his agent said, Jonathan Barrett. But I believe Zidane kind of wanted him gone, but again, Zidane was very frustrated with the squad at that point. They finished 17 points off La Liga, and Zidane has said in the past that his greatest achievement as coach was winning La Liga in 2017-18. 2016-17, sorry. So maybe that's part of the reason why he wanted Bale gone. I believe he called Ramos after the press conference to talk to him about how he wants to take the squad to the future. Him and Ramos have a great relationship. They get along really well. And, he uses Ramos as a great way to communicate with the locker room. And Ramos is all in with Zidane. He always has been. You could tell that he wasn't all in with Lopetegui. And he was a lot more engaged with Solari. But for some reason with Lopetegui, he wasn't, even though he was super engaged with him with the Spanish national team. I think there will be some additions and subtractions to the squad. I believe Bale will be sold, like I said. I think Hazard will come in to replace him. There are numbers being thrown around that Florentino had to agree with Zidane that he could spend this kind of money. I've heard the 400 million euros range, but who knows? It could be more than that. The roof to the Bernabeu, I believe, is going to cost like in excess of 350 million. So maybe Florentino uses that money. I believe Zidane's top two targets are Hazard and Mbappe. Mbappe recently said he wasn't going to move. I mentioned that in another video. But Mbappe's idol is Zidane. And, Zidane might only be coaching for 3 more years. He might retire after these next 3 years, which is 2022. And who knows, Mbappe may never get another chance to play for Zidane. So maybe he takes him up on that. And Mbappe's been knocked out of the round of 16 the past 2 years. So you never know. But that's pretty much all I have to say. I would like to thank Solari for showing us that these great young talents are here, and they should be here to stay. I'd heard from Kiyan Sobani of Managing Madrid that the club offered Solari to see out his contract within the youth ranks, and I believe maybe that's a slap in the face to Solari, but I believe that'd be a good option for him. As you could see with the team current state, is Solari was really good with youth players, and that might be a good thing to keep up with him. And maybe it'd be good to have him at Castilla, or maybe at like Juvenile A or Juvenile B. But as a Madrid fan, there's a low chance that this tenure is going to be better. Zidane's tenure is going to be better than his first. He can't really top that. But this guy could be the savior if we give him some time, allow him to build the squad. As a Madrid fan, I'm appalled that we have only won 2 league titles in the past decade, with Barcelona winning 7 of those, Atletico winning 1. I would love for Zidane to turn this around. We need to be patient. We need to let him do his work. Work is black magic, as people say. He's being given total control of the squad. At least that's what reports are saying. And I'm finally happy to see Florentino relinquish some of his power. As a Madrid fan, I really want to see a squad have an identity. No matter what that identity is, I'm happy to see that Zidane is going to have utter complete control of the squad. So, Hala Madrid, welcome back Zidane. I love you. I love you for everything you did for this club, and you love this club. And hopefully the Madrid fans treat you right. I know I will never say a bad word about you. I've never said a bad word about you. But hopefully Madrid fans continue to treat you well, not like they've treated Bale this year. And if you guys have any questions, you guys can post them in the comments below. I try to post twice a week, so if you guys like what you heard, you guys can subscribe. And I have a new Managing Madrid article coming up. I'll post my first Managing Madrid article in the comments or in the description below. And thank you guys for listening, and Hala Madrid.